Belgium, a small and peaceful country, is famous for chocolate, beer, and French fries. But Belgium is also the birthplace of one of the most haunting serial killers to date. The Mons body snatcher who killed and dismembered the body parts of 5 women during the period of 1996 to 1997. And what's even more horrifying is that over 20 years after those serial killings, the identity of the Mons body snatcher remains completely mysterious. In March 1997, the city of Mons, the capital of the Hainaut province near the Belgian border with France, was shaken by news that a police officer had discovered plastic garbage bags containing numerous human body parts. Officer Olivier Mott found the bags along M. Vandervelde Street in Quezoms, Mons. The autopsy revealed that the bags contained body parts of 3 different female victims. 2 days after Officer Mott's discovery, another series of bags were found in Mons. This time, the bags contained severed body parts of a woman, believed to have been killed just a few days prior. Another bag containing severed body parts from yet another female victim was found on the Haine River, confirming a horrifying truth: Mons and its surrounding areas are the hiding place of an especially brutal serial killer. It didn't take long for the police to name the first suspect, Marc Dutroux. In 1996, Dutroux, a serial killer from Charleroi, Belgium, was imprisoned for kidnapping 6 girls and killing at least 2 of them. During the trial, Dutroux admitted that his crimes were ordered by a sick underground group within the Belgian elite. There is no evidence to prove who the mastermind behind Dutroux was, but it cannot be denied that Dutroux was a cruel murderer who imprisoned and tortured his victims to death in an underground dungeon for several days. Dutroux's crimes were primarily committed in areas of Hainaut, making him the prime suspect. However, the Mons body snatcher killed women indiscriminately, regardless of age or background, while all of Dutroux's prey were teenage girls. Clearly, the murderer dumping body parts in garbage bags all over Hainaut was a different culprit. Carmelina Rousseau, 42 years old, was reported missing on January 4, 1996. On January 21, some parts of Rousseau's body were found near the Belgium-France border. Rousseau, a married woman, used to start her daily routine from the train station in Mons. Martine Bone, 43 years old, was declared missing on July 21, 1996. Martine, a transgender woman, used to work at bars around the Belgium-France border. When Bon's body parts were found in a floating garbage bag on the Haine River, investigators concluded that the murderer had cut off her breasts after discovering that Bone was transgender. This provided further evidence that the crimes of this serial killer were driven by sexuality. Jacqueline Leclerc, 33 years old, a woman who was separated from her husband at the time her body was found. Leclerc, who had 3 children with her ex-husband, lost custody of them in the divorce. She was often seen in areas near the Mons train station until she disappeared on January 23, 1997. Leclerc's arms and legs were found by Officer Mott on March 22, 1997, right on Rue de Emile Vandervelde. Natalie Goddard, 21 years old, was the youngest victim of the Mons body snatcher. Goddard had a nearly 3-year-old daughter, but the child was placed in the city's community care program due to complications in her life. At the time of her disappearance, Goddard lived in a small room in Mons and frequented bars and entertainment spots like Intercity, Metropole, and Café de la Gare. Goddard, according to many witnesses, was a woman with a promiscuous sex life but not a prostitute. Similar to Bone, Goddard's dismembered body parts were found in the Haine River. As the identities of the victims gradually became known, Belgian police, in an official press conference, put forward important sketches of the serial killer. The most notable hypothesis: the Mons body snatcher may have been trained in medicine, as the body parts of the victims were all meticulously severed with high precision. FBI agents inferred that the killer had a stable job, based on the fact that all of his victims were murdered on weekends. On July 3, 1997, a news bulletin aired on Belgium's national television channel, reporting that the police were investigating the possibility of a religious or mystical connection to the crimes of the Mons body snatcher. The last known victim of the Mons body snatcher was Begonia Valencia, 37 years old, reported missing from the town of Frameries in the summer of 1997. Some body parts of Valencia were discovered in a small forest area, situated between Bethlehem and Jaén. A neighbor of Valencia later stated that she often took the local bus every evening. It is very likely that the Mons body snatcher had observed this habit of Valencia's and lay in wait at a bus stop or train station in Mons to carry out the crime. On September 15, 1990, a black garbage bag was found near the Brooklyn Navy Yard, not far from New York City. The bag contained 2 arms and a severed leg. Another bag was discovered a few hours later containing the remaining parts of a woman's body. 10 days later, the victim's identity was confirmed: Mary Beale, 61 years old. Beale, unmarried, lived in a small apartment on Mosholu Parkway with several dogs. Beale's disappearance was reported by neighbors after they didn't see her out for her morning walk. The investigation into Beale's death revealed that she worked part-time as a court interpreter. Beale's final case before her disappearance involved a battle for custody between a divorced couple from the former Yugoslavia, Smajo Dzerlik and his wife. Over a decade later, the police arrested Smajo Dzerlik, also known as Smail Tolja, for Beale's murder. According to the investigation by the New York Police Department, Tolja had a romantic relationship with Beale at the time he committed the crime. Tolja was arrested in the winter of 2009 in Montenegro. Initially, the U.S. authorities sought to extradite Tolja to the U.S. for trial for Beale's murder, but it was unsuccessful because Montenegro does not allow extradition of its citizens. Tolja was then tried by the Montenegro court for a series of crimes in the U.S., Montenegro, Czech Republic, and Albania. Besides Beale, Tolja was also implicated in the murder of his wife, who went missing in Albania a few years before 2009. Tolja was ultimately convicted of Beale's murder and sentenced to 12 years in prison at Goth Prison. In 2012, Tolja committed suicide in prison. There are clearly many similarities between Tolja's murder of Beale and the Mons body snatcher. The most notable detail is the evidence showing that Tolja had lived in Belgium from 1996 to 1997, the period during which the Mons body snatcher committed his heinous crimes. All of this makes Tolja the prime suspect. In addition to Tolja, another notable suspect in the case of the Mons body snatcher is Jacques Antoine. Antoine, a practicing doctor, was arrested in 2012 following an attack on a woman in the city of Strasbourg. Prior to this arrest, Antoine's son wrote a letter to the French police accusing his father of being the Mons body snatcher. In this letter, Antoine's son raised suspicions such as his father having lived in Mons during the time the crimes of the Mons body snatcher were committed, and he had often seen his father carrying black garbage bags with unusual behavior. However, subsequent investigation dismissed the possibility of Antoine being the Mons body snatcher. And to this day, the most haunting serial killer in Belgium has not been unmasked before the light of justice. Is he Dutroux or Tolja? Is he dead, or still leisurely hunting for new prey in Mons? No one knows. So, what about you? Do you know who the culprit is? Feel free to leave your opinion in the comments below.